You create an environment where over the last 4 years, more money was created in this country than in the history of the United States before it. You keep interest rates suppressed. Asset prices go to the moon. So here's how the Great Reset happens, and I hope to God I'm wrong. You get Saudi Arabia standing on a stage with Xi Jinping and Putin and the rest of the 13 OPEC producing countries. These groups together approach 90% of human population that are not going green, and we are. And they dump dollars because they say we're taking other currencies now. And I would say to you, when that happens and the dollars come flooding home because you don't need to own dollars any longer to buy oil, and you can use a myriad of other choices. Maybe it's the rupee or the ruble or the petro yuan bond or gold, or maybe it's one of these others that I just mentioned. Bang, the dollar dumps, and everything in this country that makes people feel rich collapses: stocks, bonds, real estate, and the dollar. It is the Great Reset. So you got the IMF coming out and saying, hey, gold is not a barbarous relic anymore. It's an international reserve. So the US, who has veto power at the IMF, they have like 17% share, whatever it is. How hard would it be for them to roll out preemptively their own gold-backed digital currency through the IMF, which, special drawing rights, if you want to call it that, or whatever it may be, a Western currency pegged to gold, showing transparency. Now, right here, you got President Roosevelt, right? And he confiscated, there's the executive order, and he confiscated gold, his first act of office in 1933. Back then, gold was redeemable. President de Gaulle from France proved that redeemable currencies get redeemed. So I don't think it will be redeemable, but I do think they could peg 10% of every new dollar in circulation, every new central bank digital dollar in circulation. Same thing, tied to a distributed ledger for everyone to see. The big three auditing companies come in and audit it, and 10% or 15% of every new dollar has gold backing. You cannot redeem it, but it is tethered so that the government cannot print more money in the last 4 years as they did in the history of the country before it, so that they cannot destroy the value of the world reserve currency. We hedge everything that we have. All of our gold that's in our warehouse is hedged. And I asked my head trader the other day, I said, what does it cost to buy a contract, a COMEX contract? He says, I don't know, $5, $10, that's it. He says, but we have to have $7,000 in our margin account. Well, if you have $7,000 in your margin account, that allows you to control right now almost 200,000 worth of gold. So what if you are a central bank working through a sovereign wealth fund, or you are a commercial bank like JP Morgan, who just paid a $920 million fine to the Justice Department a year ago, the largest settlement ever at the time, for suppressing the metals market, while, according to Ted Butler, has amassed 1.2 billion ounces of silver and 12 times what the Hunt brothers tried to buy, and over 45 million ounces of gold. All told, the largest metals position the world has ever seen at one time. They are suppressing the market. If you are a bank like that and have $500 million in your margin account, you can create whatever perception of reality you want. They are misdirecting the public with price. Do you want to a system that is 130 or 40 trillion dollars in debt, where the largest asset in this country is student debt, where a trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago, where we are broke, insolvent, making ridiculous, stupid decisions to destabilize and destroy the economy, the banking system. Look, when I started in this industry, just so you understand where I'm coming from, I was 20 years old, basically, 1990. And I started this company with my dad. After he started it 6 months earlier, I came on board, and he said, there'll be one rule and only one rule, Andy. And if you don't do it, I'll fire you. And if not, you're cool. I said, well, I can deal with one rule. What's that? He says, you'll buy something every 2 weeks. You won't make the same mistakes I made as a young man. If that's the only rule, I'm good. I've been buying gold and silver every 2 weeks for 33 years, and I've never missed a 2 week period. To me, it is wealth. A minimum target, I would say whatever you can afford to do, and that you want out of the system, it's wealth. First of all, there are people out there who say, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. I own one of the largest metals companies in North America. I can't hold all of mine because of what you just said. I'm a target. I think counterparty risk is going to take on a whole new meaning when you see all of the systemic failures in the system coming up. But I will tell you that this is why I partnered with Brinks. It's a third party facility. I'm not holding anything. It's held by Brinks. They are a Fortune 100 company, one of the biggest, most respected names in security for over 100 years. Everything is segregated 100%. It is fully insured. And in a world of imperfect choices, this is where I hold 98% of everything I own is Brinks facilities throughout North America. Look, gold and silver are two of the only assets in the world that are not simultaneously someone else's liability. And in 33 years that I've been doing this, I will tell you that almost everything we've talked about as a company has in one form or another come true. And it's largely because they're rooted, these ideas we come up, these theses we have are rooted in economics, mathematics, and a sprinkling of old school logic on top of the ideas. Most of what I've talked about over the last 3 decades has come true, but usually months or years, usually after I ever would have thought it would have happened. And let's go back to 2017. And in 2017, we were at the tail end of a 6-year downdraft bear market in gold and silver when it had gone from its all-time high at $50 silver and $1,915 gold or thereabouts in 2011 and went south, completely south until 2017. And so 2017 rolls along after 6 years of a downdraft, and something happens that catches my eye. And the German Bundesbank, there's an article that floats all over the place in 2017. The Bundesbank says, hey, we've been trying to get our gold back now for 2 or 3 years. This is getting ridiculous. We want all our gold back. And they were speaking to the New York Fed. We've been holding their gold for I don't know how long. And they said, hey, send us back our gold. We want it back. I thought that was interesting because the central banks had been selling their gold. Well, within a few months of that, the Bank of Austria, the Bank of Turkey, the Bank of Poland, the Bank of Hungary, the Czech National Bank, the Dutch National Bank, all of these Eastern European central banks said the same thing, not just to the Federal Reserve, but also to the Bank of England. Give us back our gold. Let's call this repatriation. And this was in 2017 when, no one was buying gold. In fact, the central banks were selling gold, as were a good deal of my clients, good portion of my clients. And, something's weird here. 2018 rolls along the following year, and those same banks, central banks, bought more gold as a group than they did in the previous 60 years combined. And so now I'm really watching something.